What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we are going to be showcasing the complete guide for how to beat the current Nightfall and how to achieve the gold tier ranking. And of course, the reason for doing so is so that you can complete the new Sunrise bounty available just now with the addition of the Dawning from Zavala. Completing this Sunrise bounty, and the bounty is just to achieve gold tier and to complete the Nightfall in less than 30 minutes, will give you firstly a guaranteed legendary weapon actually from anywhere. I got a Vanguard legendary weapon the first time I did it, and the third time I got a Dead Orbit legendary weapon. So these legendaries are just from, anywhere. And also apparently will give you a crack at the Icebreaker, which I was unfortunate enough not to get, but hopefully you guys will be more lucky. So again, this guide is going to show you not only how to beat the current Nightfall, but also include a bunch of tips for how to increase your points as much as possible to get you that gold tier ranking. So let's get started. Now, the modifiers for this week's Nightfall are frankly terrible. They are all negative modifiers except for Brawler increasing your melee damage, but that is not really a great strategy for the Nightfall running around meleeing stuff. So this Nightfall is going to be tricky for a lot of you. You may want to capitalize on Brawler. I was actually using, for two of my classes I was using exotic armor pieces that gave me an extra melee charge. So again, that's going to help out with the Brawler synergy, but you don't really want to go all in on a melee strategy. But that is going to mean that Night Stalker Hunter, with its smoke bombs dealing damage, they're actually going to deal a lot of damage, so keep that in mind. The actual Nightfall is, lucky enough kind of, it's the new remade Nexus Strike. Now you're going to start off this strike in an open patrol area, and you can actually see random blue players run around with you in this area. However, killing enemies will still give you points, and I would recommend that you definitely do that. Although you do have a timer and you do kind of want to get going with the strike, killing ads in the very beginning is extremely easy, and you can easily net, 3,000 plus points just for killing that first wave and then getting started with the strike. And that 3,000 extra points is going to come in handy more than that extra, 1 minute that you would have gained if you would have skipped this part immediately. Now, once you get into the actual strike, you're going to be presented with 3 captains you're going to have to destroy. These captains are quite frankly no joke, and they're going to be accompanied with a lot of ads. And this is where I'm going to talk about some good stuff to use, some good loadouts to use to achieve that gold tier ranking. Firstly, in terms of subclasses, all of the roaming supers except for Blade Dancer have been phenomenal. Hammer Titans are great. You want supers that are going to kill a lot of enemies at once, because that's going to get you a lot of points at once. So if you can, Nova Bomb, or if you can Hammer Titans, or if you can Storm Trance and kill like a bunch of enemies, like 4, 5, 6 enemies with a single super, you're gonna have points flying around. Double kill, medals, triple kill, pentakill, all that stuff is going to be flying at your screen, and that's great. You're going to want to get on top of those points. And so therefore, subclasses like Blade Dancer, which don't actually do that much damage throughout their super and can have some trouble dealing with the higher health enemies. Remember, all of the enemies pretty much in this Nightfall have shields, because of Ironclads are the ones that do have more shields. So if you have Blade Dancer, you could have a really hard time taking down even just like a Minotaur. You're gonna have to use up a lot of your super just to take it down. So use the more damage dealing ones. Actually, Gunslinger would be fairly good for this encounter, but again, running a Hammer Titan is fantastic. And on the flip end, running a Night Stalker Hunter, just because firstly, you get that bonus with Brawler, that your smoke grenades do a shit ton of damage, but also you're producing orbs, and that's going to let your team chain together supers, and you're all going to benefit from that. Remember, the score at the bottom is not an individual score, it's a team score. So if your teammate busts out his hammers and goes to town and gets like 5,000 points, that's good for you, and so you may want to facilitate that by playing the Night Stalker Hunter. Now, in terms of weapons, I would recommend firstly consider using something like the Bad Juju or the Xylo Supercell to get you more super energy. Both of those exotic primaries gain you more super energy than normal, allowing you to, as I've explained before, use your super more often and rack up those points. I was using a Nova Bomb Warlock with the Bad Juju and it was an absolute treat. I was able to use my Nova Bomb a ton. Furthermore, in terms of a special weapon, I would recommend a shotgun. There's a lot of enemies that get right up in your face. You shouldn't be looking to go and engage a bunch of enemies with the shotgun because that's kind of risky in a Nightfall strike, especially with these modifiers, but enemies are going to reach right beside you regardless. Just how this strike works, there's going to be enemies right up in your biznatch, so you're going to want to be able to kill them when that happens, and having a sniper rifle, you can get yourself killed a lot if you're running that. Now for heavy, rocket launchers have worked excellently all 3 times I ran these strikes because you're able to capitalize on the point system and there's a ton of opportunity to just get a massive rocket attack off and kill a ton of enemies at once. You're fighting Taken, remember, so there's a lot of times where the Taken all spawn in, with a Taken orb all at the same time, and one rocket can take down, 5-6 guys. And so that is definitely advantageous. And again, it gets those points right through the roof. If you're able to rocket off 4 guys at once, you're going to get double kill, triple kill, heavy streak, all of these medals popping up. So that is absolutely fantastic. Now back to the actual strike. For this beginning section, you are going to want to kind of remain in the background. Don't push too far forward because there's just too many angles of engagement in this area. If you try to push forward, you're going to be shot from the right, the left, behind, everywhere. Enemies are spawning all around you. So every time you see an opportunity to use a rocket launcher or to utilize your super when there's like 5 enemies, 4 enemies clumped together, absolutely take that opportunity, but don't push too far forward. Don't get too aggressive in this opening section. Once you are able to kill all 3 captains, you're going to be directed up a staircase and into the upper level of this building. Now this upper level, as soon as you enter that door, there's going to be a couple of Minotaurs and actually like 6 Taken enemies, so that is a great time to pop a roaming super, a storm trance, or a hammer and just mow through all of those enemies and get a ton of points. After that, you're going to continue to make your way through this complex until you encounter your first mechanic in an open area where the path you need to go is blocked by a shield. Now there is a decent amount of enemies in this open area and you really are going to want to kill them first before you pick up the relic. They do not respawn, so you can kill all of the enemies and then there'll be nothing to engage you, and then you can pick up the relic and take it over to its destination, and take all the time you need because there's no enemies shooting at you. The 2 enemies that you are really going to want to be aware of is that there's 2 yellow health Minotaurs, Taken Minotaurs, that are invisible in the very middle section of this encounter. Make sure to not just run over, with a shotgun killing a hobgoblin. Next thing you know, there's a yellow health invisible Minotaur beating your ass. So make sure that you're aware of those Minotaurs. Take them down before you move into the open areas of this encounter. Now once you deliver the relic to its destination, you're going to lower the shield and you're going to have to then stand on a Vex plate in order to take down the next barrier behind it. But that is going to cause more enemies to spawn, so do not take this opportunity. After you put that relic in its destination, do not try to open up the barrier. You're going to have to go to the Vex plate to trigger the enemies to spawn, but as soon as you do that, get back. Let the enemies spawn and then kill them with a super or rockets. Do not again try to open the plate as enemies are spawning right beside you. Because again, once you kill these enemies, and by the way, they spawn all in a big clump, great chance to use a super, there are no more enemies that respawn. So once you kill that next wave of guys, you have all the time in the world to open that next barrier. Now moving on, we actually have a fantastic opportunity to get a ton of points. you're going to continue along a pathway that leads to the final boss encounter. But this path is going to become a Cliffside Pass, and on this cliffside there's going to be like 10 plus just normal Taken Vex that spawn. This is absolutely somewhere you should firstly utilize a super if you have one. You know, hammers, golden gun, Stormcaller, any of that stuff is great for this part because you have so many enemies to kill and you just have a great opportunity to rack up the points. So if someone has their super, and honestly it's worth waiting like 30-45 seconds to let, you know, your Stormcaller charge his super so that he can kill all these enemies, it's definitely worth doing that because the points you can gain from this part is huge. Now, if you've utilized absolutely all of your supers in the fight previous, you can also just use heavy. Whoever has, you know, the most ammo in their Galahorn or Truth runs up and absolutely blasts the crap out of all these enemies, and that is still going to get you a decent amount of points. Right after that, we do have the final boss encounter. Immediately upon dropping down, head to your right and engage the yellow health Taken Vex that you see. There's a couple of Taken Hobgoblins and I think a couple of just normal Taken Goblins, and you do want to take these guys down. They're going to cause problems if you don't, and actually you don't have to kill all of the enemies for the boss to spawn. Only a few guys that you kill, the boss will spawn afterwards. However, you do have on that right side, every time we did it, there was a heavy ammo crate that spawned up above that you can, you know, see in the background gameplay my character go to, and this is something you should be aware of. So don't be afraid to whip out your heavies, you know, your Galahorn, your Truth, whatever you're using, and take down the Taken Hobgoblins and stuff with your heavies. Just take them down really quick and then hop up here, get heavy ammo all over again. It's kind of, you know, pointless to get a heavy ammo chest which refills all of your heavy ammo if you still have some heavy ammo in reserve. So don't be afraid to utilize your heavy right away when you drop down into this arena, and then just restock it with that chest. And right after that, we have the actual boss fight against Sekrion's Subverted Mind. Now, this guy is no joke. He shoots very fast, and his bullets have a ton of splash damage. So you really need to be aware of that. Don't think that hiding just behind a pillar will help you. He will shoot right beside the pillar or behind the pillar and absolutely melt your character with splash damage. So the safest place to go to hold out is the place that you see us go here. It's the kind of elevated section of this ring. From this elevated section, there is a pretty substantial wall between you and the boss, so if you're hiding behind it, he can't hit you, and you can very easily see the enemies spawn off, especially to your right side, and you'll see, you know, sometimes just a bunch of enemies spawn, and then one of us just completely destroys them with rockets or a super, and that's great. The fact that from this section, you can see where a ton of just normal adds are going to spawn, and you can absolutely destroy them with area of effect damage dealing weapons or supers, mean that you can really rack up the points quickly. If you're in another section where they kind of line up and more trickle down to you, you don't have that opportunity to kill a bunch of guys at once and get a ton of points. There are going to be guys that sometimes come from the other side as well, and you really do need to be on top of this. Anytime the enemies spawn right in the open and you get a big Nova Bomb on them and everything is good, that also means that there's likely enemies behind you, so you're going to want to send someone back there with a super or rocket to take those guys out as well. You don't want to let them get too close because it can get a little hectic with half of them being invincible from the hobgoblins or goblins behind them on the lower section that you can't even see to engage. So make sure they don't get up that ramp and too close to you, and then you have an invincible hobgoblin just mowing down your team. Now, after you deal a decent amount of damage to the boss, he's going to spawn a completely 360-degree shield that you're going to have to take down with the relic that is the exact same mechanics and the exact same relic pretty much from the Vault of Glass. If there's any Year 1 Destiny players watching, you'll know exactly what to do. Simply make sure all of the adds are dead first, and then send one of your fire team members out to go and get the relic. the other fire team members can very easily pull aggro. You can just shoot the boss's shields, and even though you won't actually do damage, he's gonna turn and shoot directly at you. So just annoy him and let your other teammate go and get the relic, and then once you grab the relic, you simply, line up your sights, press the super button, and you're going to shoot a large beam at him and take down his shields, to which you damage him again, and then the same mechanic is just going to appear again, rinse and repeat. Now, it is also a good idea to send a more mobile member of your fire team to go and grab the relic. Send maybe a hunter or a titan that can titan skate to go and grab the relic, maybe not a warlock. In any event, after you do enough damage to the boss and he gains another shield and another relic spawns, ads are also going to spawn. So that's when you know, okay, ads are spawning, you're going to have to get on top of it and use that opportunity to, utilize supers, utilize rockets, whatever you need to do to, again, rack up those points. My team was ending with like 10-15 minutes on the clock, so I really wouldn't be too worried about, trying to get the relic and damage the boss to be quick while there are still ads out and about. Take your time to kill the ads for each wave and then go grab the relic, lower his shields, etc. And guys, that's really all there is to it. Use the spot you see us use, really keep on top of those ads every time they spawn, and you should complete this Nightfall with a gold tier ranking in no time. Which is, by the way, awarded at 45,000 points. Now, once you beat this strike and kill the boss, you also have the opportunity to open the chest with a skeleton key. And unfortunately, I opened this chest like 3 times for myself. My fire team members kept opening it too. And the only new thing you can get from this chest is a new mark for the Titan, to which you can see right here. Pretty disappointing that Bungie didn't even take the time to add a new strike exclusive weapon. Or maybe they did and my team is unbelievably unlucky, but I doubt it. In any event, as soon as you see mission complete pop up and the faction rankings pop up, you're also going to complete the Sunrise bounty, to which you can turn in immediately. You don't have to go back to Zavala. And again, that bounty, upon completing it, is supposed to give you a chance to get the Icebreaker. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.